welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 177. All right, I have to come in here and be honest with y'all because I am a hypocrite. I know I was just on here last episode talking about lock all these niggas up who's playing loud ass music in their car because it's so disturbing and you can't really concentrate on the road and it's just annoying and you're being so oblivious and it's rude. I think I just forgot how good it felt and how good it feels to drive in a car with some good music playing and your soul is being reverberated. Your heart is pounding through your chest. You feel like you're in a music video. I know I was just clowning that last episode, but my goodness, today I had a moment earlier today in my car and I just felt the need to start playing Mario Braid My Hair. Now, shout out to Mario for letting us know or reminding us who the fuck he is, because like a lot of other people, like a majority of people who watched or heard about the verses happening, I didn't watch it necessarily. I just saw clips. But when I heard about this verses, I just immediately thought, okay, well, Marion's going to win, because we know Omarion, with so many hits attached to him, he seemed to have had a longevity than Mario. Mario's also a good dancer, and like there's so many hits that Omarion has. Like he had hits, solo hits with B2K. He had that run with Bow Wow, and like I immediately thought, okay, Omarion's gonna crush it, right? And then when you think about the fact that Versus has now turned into this performance piece that's not just, it evolved from what it was. Initially it was just literally on Instagram, and the two artists will be on Instagram together, Instagram live together, and they're simply just playing their songs and like doing facial reactions, but they're not performing. And now it has evolved into a whole performance. So if you could perform your hit records as well as they sound, audibly, then you're in a great lead in the versus battle. But being that Omarion really just, as well as everyone else, I don't know why. And it's weird because it's like the versus is now a concert. Like it's not just between two artists. Instead, there's an opening act, there's a comedy show, there's some festival going on. Like it's just this weird thing that has become. And but yeah, shout out to Mario. Mario really did that, and I'm really, really taken aback. I didn't realize how great of a singer he is. Like he is very talented, and it's to this day, nigga, to this day. And I just had the desire to play Braid My Hair. Something just came over me. I was leaving the grocery store, shout out to H-E-B, and I'm like, I want to hear Braid My Hair. I just felt the need to play that song, and that song reminds me, it's nostalgic for me as well. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, I was in 4th grade, and I was just thinking about little boys that I liked during, my classmates during that time, and some of the girls and I would like sing that song, and I remember back in the day, men or boys at the time, for me, they would braid their hair. There was this one boy in one of my classes in 4th grade. He had a head full of hair, and he'll braid his hair. Well, he'll get his hair braided. And he was just this cute boy, and the hair braiding made it look so like, it just really hyped him up. Like it was that, how today, how beards really make a man now, like that's like really the trend, and it has been for a while now. Like a man with a beard is like, oh my God, look at this Adonis. But back then, for me and for many other girls at the time as well, braids on a man was the like it was the beard for us back then. That was the equivalent of a beard back then. So when Mario came out with that song, it was just so perfect to the times, braid my, oh my God. And his voice is really beautiful. Now I feel like playing it. But yeah, really shout out to him. And so I just got really into that zone as I'm driving. And I found myself playing it at a louder level. But here's the thing with me. And because I live in a hot climate area anyway, my windows will always be up. Like I'm not driving with my windows down. The AC's on. What are we talking about? So ultimately, it's me that's really enjoying the music. And maybe if you were really, really close to my car, maybe you could hear it. But I don't feel like it's disturbing anyone, right? In regards to that whole new possible bill, I think it's already been passed, I believe, that's happening in Florida, of officers being able to ticket drivers if they're playing music or playing anything at a excruciatingly loud volume level. I think it's more applicable if the sound is happening while the windows are down, and maybe you're driving through a residential area and that residential area is typically quiet, and you're driving through it and there's an off-duty cop or a cop that's just sitting around in that area per usual, and they come across this car that's driving this loud ass music, whatever the music is. Now, I'm hearing some people say, oh, that law is targeting Black people, and it's really it's really a guise to continue to target Black people and get them into the system, incarcerate them, etc., etc. Okay, maybe you have a point. I'm just tired of everything always have to be about it's targeting the Black man. Everything's targeting Black people. Roe versus Wade being overturned is targeting Black people, Black women. Now, it'll increase the mass incarceration level in America because Black mothers will no longer have the opportunity to kill their child, their unborn child, and because they are forced to give birth to their child in an impoverished condition, that child will typically and statistically end up drug and gang banging, and that will lead them into, like, first of all, are you the future? Can we stop? Like, everything always leads to, oh, it's disenfranchising Black people. Oh, it's putting Black people further down the pecking order. It's setting us back. Why does it always have to be that way? Why can't it just be, no, I'm just trying to save lives, right? Why can't it just be, oh, we're giving opportunities for unborn children to have a life and to make whatever they want out of the life that they're given and that they make for themselves? Like, why does it have to be this whole thing? So now this whole ticketing of drivers in Florida is targeting Black people because only Black people play their music mad loud. Now, I don't know. Look, I don't know white people like that, like, closely to know how they operate in their vehicle, right? Maybe it is targeting Black people. Come to think about it. But shit, maybe Hispanics too. Like, why can't we talk about Hispanics? It's just always this, like, woe is me, I'm Black, and I will continue to be poor in this way. I just hate that. Like, why can't we hear some more uplifting stories of Black people in America? Why does every news always lead to, it's targeting Black people, this will continue to disenfranchise the Black community, and that's why we should not be happy if Roe versus Wade is overturned? I came across, not to bring it back to that topic, but it just, it's still fresh, so I'm still seeing some responses to it. And what did I just see? So I was on Instagram. I came across someone who I follow on Instagram. She posted something on her story, and I thought it would have been, like, silly of me to think that she would have, or anyone I follow would be open to sharing pro-life opinions, right? I think it's so scary for people to be like, yeah, I actually want to save the lives of unborn babies. It's so funny how that is so taboo. Like, that is crazy to, like, think about it. It's taboo to say, hey, how about we exercise other options to ensure the unborn child has an opportunity at life? Like, right? Why is that? You're taking away my reproductive rights. First of all, to reproduce means to multiply. So if you're not allowing me to multiply, right? If you're supporting a bill or, a procedure that is not allowing you to multiply, that's not a reproductive right. You see what I'm saying? That's not a reproductive right. That's not a reproduction. You're terminating. Anyway, but I came across someone I follow on Instagram, and then she's like, she's showing this like sad post of just like way in the water type of story of a woman. I didn't even read the whole caption because it was ridiculous, and I already knew what type of time it was on. And the woman was talking about, like, if you're happy that, it was like the last few lines of her caption, it said, if you're happy that Roe versus Wade is overturned, then F you. But she didn't say F you. It just, there's a F you emoji in place of saying F you. And it's just like, why? But why does it have to be so aggressive? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just respectfully disagree? Like, why can't we simply understand another perspective that is not our own, that is completely opposite to what we believe and what we are so staunch on? Why can't we just be like, you know what? Okay, well, I respect you, and, it doesn't have to be no type of time where I hate you now because you want to save unborn lives. Like, what? Like, what? Why is that a thing? So this whole aggression, I just feel like it's another tactic from the elite to continue to divide us, because the fact that we can't have civil discussions and civil disagreements and civil discussions pointing out different and opposing opinions is very telling to the hostile society that we are living in and the hostile culture that we continue to uplift. Like, why can't we just simply discuss, disagree, move on? That's it. And shout out to Kimberly Elise. Again, like I said, it's not popular or easy to come across profiles of people online supporting the overturning of Roe versus Wade, or even remotely saying, hey, I kind of want to save an unborn life. Or even people saying, like I said last episode, I was talking about how, like, we don't hear stories of women who have had abortions and regret it. I know some women in my life who have had abortions and regretted it, or some women who was going to get an abortion but felt convicted not to, and was like, you know what, I can't do it. I just can't bear myself to kill this unborn child. So I'm going to follow through with this pregnancy. And she did. And she has a beautiful daughter from it. So I just think about all of that. And I feel like, why is it so what is it, so common and so praised and applauded for us to be okay with pro-choice and to paint it as such? Like, this whole euphemism that we have over it, instead of saying abortion for what it is, we say abortion. Instead of saying pro-choice for what it is, we say pro-choice. But anyway, shout out to Kimberly Elise, because again, it's not easy to come across people who will be bold enough to say, aloud, whether in person or online or both, their opinions on the matter. And so Kimberly Elise, for those who may not know, she starred in Set It Off. She was the one who, in case you're not familiar, she's not Queen Latifah, she's not Jada, and she's not Vivica A. Fox. I feel like the other names, like people are more familiar with those names. But I'm familiar with Kimberly Elise because I just like to know like actresses' names and actors' names. I grew up on Set It Off, so I know these characters and their real names back to back. But yeah, Kimberly is the one who, her character, she was a single mom and she just needed to support her child, and so she decided it was a good idea to combine with her girls and rob banks and rob banks. Set it off. So yeah, she was kind of like the good girl. She was the first one dead. Yep, the first one dead. It made sense based off of her character. And yeah, but shout out to her. She's a great actress from that role. Like she did a really good job from that role. And you may also know her from Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Now, that is a Tyler Perry production. So I know some people may feel, not convinced with Tyler Perry's cinematic abilities, but that was one of his like first movies coming up, and it was good for what it was back then. But looking at it now, I still remember Shamar Moore and that braided ass wig that he had on. Like, what's going on? I say it. But anyway, so Kimberly Elise was in that movie, or is in that movie. And she was married to this rich guy who just was this horrible husband, and he was abusive to her at some points, not all the time, but there was one, he kicked her out of their home. And so Kimberly Elise recently shared her excitement and happiness over the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And again, you would think, wow, someone who is supporting the good thing, right? Like, wow, someone is caring for the life of the unborn child here, is a good thing. So you would think that's a good thing. Like, we're living in such a la-la land. It's so weird. And yet she, of course, is receiving so much backlash. There's some comments saying, oh, well, whoever that character, I forgot his name in A Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but her husband from that movie, people are saying, oh, that's right, he should have dragged her and kicked her out the house. And, you know what, I never liked Kimberly, at least from the beginning. Like, what? At some point, you just have to chalk it up to the fact that many people are under psychosis and under this like spell that they cannot break from until they break from it, right? It's like you can't break from something until you break from it. And I feel like a lot of people are such bandwagoners that is so scary for them to even dare to think of something that is not of the status quo, that is not of the mainstream media. And so, of course, they're going to continue with the same rhetoric that is perpetually portrayed in the media. So I'm not, I think I've accepted that many people are too pussy. Hello? Is my mic on? Many people are just pussy. Just pussy. If you're afraid over backlash from online robots, or even real people online, it's just chalk it up to being a pussy because you're under a spell, right? I think it's just really that. Like, I'm gonna just have some sympathy for you because you're just under a spell, and it's okay, but it's not okay. And I hope people could just like break out of it. But I just, I wish there would be more people. I would find more willing to share their pro-life or anything that is not of the mainstream online. There's one person who I follow, but I don't know her personally, but I follow her, and she's from Houston, and hey, maybe we could connect one day because she seems like we're on the same wavelength, and she's actually an Aquarius, but what I said about Aquarius women, I don't think me and them are meant to be close. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, maybe it's a me thing. 'Cause, I came on here a couple of episodes ago talking about maybe I'm not meant to be friends with Aquarius women because I've had traction with Aquarius women before, and it just happens to be Aquarius woman every time. Like, what? I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's a me thing, but I also because I don't know. I think those two Aquarius women who I'm talking about, they weren't, not to sound like hootie patootie, but they weren't on the same level as I am mentally and spiritually. So I feel like because of that maturity gap and them happening to be just Aquarius as me, of course there's a clash. But I don't know. Maybe it's in my head. Maybe I'm tripping. But she seems to be on the same wavelength as me, and maybe we'll connect one day. But anyway, I just find it just very interesting how, there's a lot of pussies out here. That's it. This is a lot of pussies. Okay, let's get into these topics because Ghislaine has been sentenced to 20 years. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was Jeff Epstein's partner in crime. She helped him in his sex trafficking ring. She helped to pick out the women and young girls, allegedly, right? But she was a great asset to the business, and she has finally been sentenced to 20 years. Now, I didn't follow this case detail by detail just because something was already fishy about it. I felt like considering how Jeff Epstein died, I will get him wrong. Is it Jeff Epstein or Robert? It's not Robert Epstein, right? Let me just make sure. But I feel like because of how, Jeff Epstein, I'm right. Because of how Jeff Epstein suddenly, died by suicide, I just feel like something fishy is going on. And though she has been sentenced, and it seems like, things are shifting in the order that justice is being served. And yes, we should rejoice in that. Yes, it's a good thing that she is sentenced and whatever. I feel like, though, I don't know, something about it is just off for me, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Apparently there are no live photos or actual photos, and I haven't done my research, so I could be wrong, but I heard that there aren't any photos of her in the courtroom. Instead, what we've been seeing and what I've seen were just drawings and sketches of her in the courtroom rather than actual photos of her in the courtroom. So I'm like, what's that about? Is she even there? Is this really even her? I don't know. At this point, what's really going on? What's really real? I don't know. But what is alleged is that she has been sentenced to 20 years. Though she's sentenced for 20 years, she is sentenced at a prison facility in Connecticut, and this prison facility is actually very high class. It's not heavily guarded, or it's not high security at all. So it's very low security, and many celebrities have been incarcerated there over the years. So Lauryn Hill, for example, have been incarcerated. When Lauryn Hill was incarcerated for her tax non-payment situation. So I said a joke. I was like, oh, look, she's sentenced at this spa-like prison. They probably offer spa, treatments there. It's just a joke. Okay, this woman who helped to have thousands of women, of young girls, raped and molested throughout the years, and beaten and sold and trafficked. She is sent to a prison that offers spa treatments, essentially. It's a high class, low security, very upper brow, secure prison facility. This is the same prison that Teresa Giudice was incarcerated in because of her and her husband's, or ex-husband now, failure of paying taxes and stuff like that. So, like, this prison's a joke, really. And from what I've read, actually, she may not even do the full 20. They say that it's likely that she may not do the full 20, and she may get released early. I don't know what early really means, though. Is it like 6 years early? Is it 12 years early? Shit. And apparently she's on suicide watch, and child, I don't know. You know, on paper, sure, maybe this is a victory because, wow, she was sentenced to 20 years. But where she's sentenced to is a joke. And the fact that it's already assumed that she may not even spend the full 20 years, and it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Anyway, R. Kelly, what was his name? Piper, Peter Piper, not Peter Piper. I don't know. Chocolate Factory nigga, has been sentenced to 30 years. Now, there's just a question that's been floating around since this has been released, is that why has he been sentenced to a longer term in comparison to Ghislaine, when essentially they are sentenced for the similar crime, to say the least. My take is, I know the difference. Oh, you know, he's a black man, she's a white woman. I get that, but my take is, I feel like with Ghislaine, though she definitely aided Epstein to have sex and traffic young girls, underage girls, and helped to, you know, do that with so many elite men as well. I think because she's a woman, she necessarily didn't engage in those intercourses either. And say if she did, it's probably not as threatening coming from a woman than it is coming from a man. And I feel like maybe if she was, or she did engage in sexual intercourse with an underage girl, I think the intimidation that comes from that is not as grand as it is from a man. Does that make sense? And not to say that it's okay, right? Not to say that it's better this way. I'm just saying there's a difference, and there's an intimidation level when in that regard. So I think that's the case here. But I can't recall if there's any allegations set against her directly for raping a young girl. I just think which is still bad, but I think her main role was to aid and help traffic and recruit and help prostitute these young girls and these underage girls to these elite men. So that's the difference. With R. Kelly, he directly molested and had sex, raped underage girls, and since then was with women in whom he brainwashed, and just a long stint of inappropriate behavior, to say the least. Now, it's hard pill to swallow, because I feel like with R. Kelly, it's like, you know, it's just a hit to the black community. I'm gonna say that because it really is. And I was just watching this amazing podcast called Urban X Podcast, and one of the hosts, his name is Black Dot, he made a great point, and he actually had his own lecture video about the whole R. Kelly situation years ago, when it was coming up again and when it was resurfacing in the media. And he was saying how, you know, I think it's basically not unfair, that's not his word, but he was saying how, like, the people, you know, when they want you to believe what they believe, they're essentially trying to take away a memory from you and tarnish a memory for you. And what that came off to me as, with so many, pretty much all of R. Kelly's catalog is attached to a memory, right? It's attached to something that you went through in your life, and whether it was good or bad or anything, like his song holds so much meaning to so many people, to myself included, to my cousins, to my family, like his songs are deep. It's not these just throwaway songs. And I think though he wasn't a healthy man, and he was definitely a predator and a pedophile, all of that is true. And like, I'm gonna say the whole, what I always say, 2 things can be true, or 3, 4 things could be true. He has some great music. So I feel like it's unfair for people to want to tarnish that memory for you. Like, oh, well, because of his songs, you're gonna, or because of who he is, you're gonna have to stop listening to his music altogether. You're gonna have to tarnish that memory that you had attached to that music. When it's like, no, like, don't get in my head, dog. Like, don't try to take away this happy moment, this happy feeling. What was that song? I think it was that was the name of that song, right? Happy People. Happy People. Oh my God. It's like, there's literally a song for everything. And I just think, if we talk about like taking that away, we have to really have a bigger conversation and talk about so many other artists, so many other celebrities who either worked with him directly, who were featured on his records, or whom he helped. Because he's written a lot of songs for different artists as well. Celine Dion, Britney Spears, like the list goes on. And I feel like it's just so, we live in such a time where when it's so pressured for us to be in this PC response, like, I have to immediately say I'm pro-choice. I have to immediately say fuck R. Kelly and, throw away his records. And I have to immediately, but no, I don't. And if you do, because you're acquiescing to the status quo, then you pussy. Anyway, that's my little take on it. But I think because R. Kelly, directly had inappropriate relations with underage girls and brainwashed older women, yada, 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 I think that speaks to why his sentence is 10 years more than Ghislaine Maxwell. And apparently, allegedly, Maxwell, she demonstrated some sort of remorse during her sentencing in the court. She apologized and she recognized her faults in her relationship with Epstein, and she said how she wished she never would have met him, and she wished that she never would have had a relationship with him, and she should have never partook in what they had going on. So that at least demonstrated, okay, well, there's some level of remorse and wanting to be redeemed in some way. Rather than R. Kelly, allegedly, he never, throughout his court hearings and sentencing, whatever, he never demonstrated an ounce of remorse. He never said, he did something horrible, and he never admitted to it. And I think, there's a bigger thing attached to that. And I say that because considering that he's coming from the music industry, and we already know the music industry is very, very corrupt, I think R. Kelly took the rap for what he did. And, yes, he's guilty of those crimes. He did what he did. He is a predator. He's like, all of that is true. And I feel like there are so many people just like him in the music industry who are not going through the ringer as R. Kelly just finish going through. And because of that, there's this resentment I feel like R. Kelly is experiencing. There's this like, fuck this shit, like I've held it down for so many years, and y'all had my back for so many years, and now you want to throw it all away, or turn your back on me. I feel like that's what he's feeling, because he has more secrets, and he knows what's going on. He's not the only pedophile and predator in the music industry, unfortunately, and it's sick to even recognize that to be truth, but it is. So I think the reason why R. Kelly is not as or at all remorseful is because he's like, y'all know what's up, right? Like I feel like he's like, y'all the fuck, y'all know what's going on. It's not just me, and it's not just me, and that's okay. It's like it's the culture for a lot of people in that field, and so many other fields as well, but definitely in the music industry is that demonic culture. You have artists having to be compromised to do homosexual acts in order to ascend in their career. Like that's a normal thing. So for R. Kelly to be got here, right? To finally be caught and to finally be brought down to the ringer. Okay, victory for his victims, but all y'all niggas got victims too. So what's up? Right? Like he's not the only one. Like, and so I think that's what speaks to him not being remorseful publicly, at the very least. So, it is what it is. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's bittersweet. Yes, it's victory for his victims and, everyone who's been violated sexually. I think this is a victim for everyone. And, I get it. It's just a mixed bag of emotions. So I don't think it's necessarily me trying to cape for him and, I don't know. I just like to recognize that it's not as easy to accept it for what it is, and it's easier for us to just throw him away, which I get that, but I also feel like I'm not going to allow anyone to take away a memory from me that happened to be attached to one of his songs, to many of his songs, and to force me to feel differently and to have a sour taste in my mouth because of what he did. When it's like, that has nothing to do with my memory that happened at the time when I was listening to 12 Play, right? Like I remember, oh my God, that just brought me back. 12 Play. I remember when I just got into 12 Play, like really like just in my, like on my own. I was in undergrad and I heard of 12 Play before. Like I heard different songs of it growing up, like when I was much younger and I was at my cousin's house. But I didn't listen to it on my own until I was in undergrad and I was like a sophomore in college. Oh my God, I'm remembering the memory right now. And I remember I was at this guy's house or his dorm actually. And we were flirting a couple of times prior to me arriving. And we didn't have sex or anything. It was just like, I was very, very, not very, very, but like, that was before, I think at that time, I was still a virgin, actually. Yeah, because I didn't have sex until my junior year of college. So, yeah, sophomore year, I was still a virgin. But I was flirting with this guy, heavy, and he was playing R. Kelly. And I'm like, wait, what album is this? What album is this? And he was like, oh, it's 12 Play. So I looked it up. I'm like, yo, like, and we just literally listened to the whole album together in his dorm room, just chilling, having good conversation. It was just a really good time. And that's the memory I have with 12 Play. You're not going to take that away from me. Okay? Fuck you. I get what he did was wrong. I get he's a pedophile. He's a predator. But you're not going to take that memory away from me because I remember how I felt in that moment. I remember how good it felt to sing those songs after listening to it for like 3 or 2 times on repeat, finally learning the lyrics. with that guy, and we were just singing and vibing together. Like, you're not taking that away from me. That stays with me. So stop. Like, I just hate the fact that we live in a time when people are forcing you to believe or to think one way and to see things one way and to say things one way. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. God built this. I'ma say how I'm built, and you know it is what it is. So yeah, shout out to 12 Play. 12 Play. And I hate when people be like, I can't, but how can you detach, the artist from his artist by detaching it? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just the only person in the world who knows how to compartmentalize. I could put two things in different boxes in my mind and have a good time. Hello? The fuck? Damn, every time I'm thinking about 12, I'm thinking about him being with Aaliyah. Oh, he's writing these songs for Aaliyah. Like, shut up. I'm not thinking that. I'm not thinking about R.Kelly singing to somebody else. I'm thinking about a boy I liked in college. At the time, I was listening to 12 Play, and how excited I was because, ooh, he's cute, and ooh, he likes me back. Like, I'm thinking about that. I'm not thinking about R. Kelly writing to a fucking Aaliyah 12 years old ass. Like, I'm not thinking about that. Why the fuck are you thinking about that? That's weird. That's weird. You're weird. It's on you. It has nothing to do with me. So, shout out to 12 Play. Shout out to that guy from college. That was a good moment. That just triggered something. I still remember his full ass name. Funny. All right, let's talk about, and now, you know how some stories I don't say the actual name of the person. I don't know why I do that, actually, to be honest. And I think I'm being pussy. Am I being pussy? Am I being pussy? I have, only pussy I got is the one between my legs. The only pussy I'm going to be proud of is the one between my legs. Okay? Other than that, nothing about me is pussy. So let me stop being pussy and stop saying, oh, I'm not going to say their name. Da, da, da. If it's like a personal person, if it's like someone like in my personal life, then, sure. But I feel like ultimately, if you're a public figure, I'm gonna just say your name. I'm just tired of like being pussy. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about why I feel I used to go to here since I moved to Houston was this mega church. So, uh, what happened? So it came to my attention that they divorced. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, okay. And let me describe him to y'all because I feel like we don't talk enough about pastors being fine. Hello? Can I say that? I remember, shout out to my dearly departed cousin, Joanna. Um, I remember when I first got here and I started going to his church and I would tell her about it. I was like, yes, girl, he's fine. I would show her pictures of him and like she's like, well, you better get his it was just like a joke we had, right? And when I found out that he got divorced, I was like, oh, but no, it was a joke. I was not interested in being somebody's pastor's wife at all. Pastor's girlfriend, I don't go, not at all. No. What about I want to go to church this Sunday? Anyway, yeah, so he got a divorce, and I started noticing because I would follow him, like I said, on Instagram. I started noticing him suddenly having Shawnee O'Neal, who is the ex-wife and you know, in shambles, and the reasons behind it. in this sermon? What were you trying to say? And of course, the flock is always on the side of the pastor. Like, low key, the flock of the church is under a psyop. Hello? That's like my new word now. Let me go ahead and give y'all a definition in case you don't know. Because some things I say, I feel like, I know, but, not everyone knows. And, okay, psyop is definitely not psychological operation. They focus it on more military-like, because it's done in the military more commonly. But psyop is basically when you're under someone's influence mentally, and because of that mental influence, they have power to control your actions, etc. And with churches and congregations and the flock of the church, you're under a psyop, really. Like, if you are consistently attending that church and you are always in agreement with whatever the pastor says, the pastor goes, and whatever is being said on the pulpit is the truth. You're never questioning. You're never, oh, that's interesting. Like, you're never like, you're always quick to believe and not quick to just kind of wonder and ponder, right? And it's not to say like you always have to be, asking questions and being a rebel and trying to stir up some controversy. I'm not saying do that. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, if you're always so quick to shut up and receive and shut up and take it, then I think you're under a psyop. I think something's wrong there. So anyway, while he's saying this in his sermon, you hear people in the flock talking about, right, preach on, pastor, like, shut the fuck up. Like, first of all, can y'all shut up? And again, and maybe I'm sounding like I'm hating on Black Americans, but I've witnessed this a lot from Black Americans. There's a lot of ignorance. And it's like, look, I can't even be mad at you for being ignorant, because why would you even care, right? Like, you have no direct relation to Haiti or to like Caribbean history, so you probably wouldn't care enough to want to do the history, unless you're someone who's a history buff, like, sure, but maybe it's more common to feel that way and to think that way because you're not doing your own due diligence to look it up or to ask a Haitian person who you may know in your life about the history of Haiti and why we're in this economic despair that they're in. But the point is for him to bring up a topic that is so sensitive in a sermon and do it so matter-of-factly, as if he knew what he was talking about, when the words that he was saying didn't align at all chronologically with the history. It astounds me. It bothers me to the point where I'm disgusted. Like, I was already not attending his church because of, like, I was just not attending. And to come across this, it was going semi-viral online. I'm just so disturbed by it. And I feel like at the very least, how some people, like, at least some people who are in, online spaces and they have a large following, they'll listen to some feedback that they receive online and they'll reflect and they'll come back with the video and be like, if I offended anyone, yada, 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 I apologize for my ignorance, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like because the Haitian community is not as, I guess it's not as strong vocally, or we may not have much power to influence him enough for him to kowtow to us, then he's not going to shut up and take it. Now, maybe if Jessie Wu, who's this Haitian influencer, and she's also on different reality shows on TV, maybe she caught wind of it. Maybe she catches wind of it and she speaks on it. Maybe it'll get to him more, or get to him enough for him to speak up on it. Or if Wyclef, other people like Garcelle Bouvet, someone, shit, Usher, even though he said he's not Haitian. But the point is, I think, there's some different responses that people experience when it comes to speaking ignorantly about a cultural, historic, just reasons and makeup, and if he would have dared to say anything anti-Semitic in his sermon and just one Jewish person caught wind of it online, oh, he would have been quick to be like, in my sermon last Sunday, I said some ignorant comments that were anti-Semitic. That was not my intent. Like, he would have been on his soapbox and apologized for it. But I know it got to him. I know it got to him because he's active online. And a lot of people tagged him. And I think I tagged him as well. I don't think I did, but whatever. A lot of people commented on the post. It's viral amongst different influencers and different profiles on Instagram, where he could have definitely caught wind of it. Like, he's getting tagged left and right. I'm sure he probably caught wind of the reaction video that I caught wind of. And when I checked his profile, because I stopped following him, when I checked his profile, the latest post that's in the same chronological order as to when he delivered this sermon, the latest Instagram post is a tweet that he wrote saying, "Oh, when you're positive, negative people are irritated by you." Like, nigga, shut the fuck up. Like, stop. Can you stop? You're being ignorant, and you're spreading this false news, this false propaganda amongst your flock. And of course, they're going to listen and obey and worship the word that you're saying because you're a god to them, right? It's one thing to be a pastor and to already be charismatic and to already have a strong pull with your words, but it's another thing to be handsome and all of those things. He's a handsome fella. Tall. He played basketball when he was younger, so he has that look to him, right? And for him to be this handsome man who is a flock of the Lord, a servant of God, and he's instantly gonna get pussy, right? He's instantly gonna get people to immediately follow whatever he says and not question or challenge him. So it's just very disturbing to me that he said that in his sermon, and as of yet, nothing has been said by him to repair the hurtful takes that he took. And what's also hurtful about that is because there's this white pastor named Pat Robertson. Let me go ahead and bring this up real quick. His name is Pat Robertson, and he is known for continuously having takes like this. The same take that I said earlier about the reason why Haiti's in despair is because of voodoo, and the people in Haiti need to let go of, and it goes back to the whole ignorance thing. Like, let's stop bashing people for their indigenous practices. Let's stop bashing them for their maintenance of their ancestral rituals that has aided and guided them throughout the years. Like, just because we may see it differently as Christians, as Catholics, as Baptists, etc., it should not be to a point where you're being condescending and you're spreading you're spreading lies and explaining why, oh, this is the reason why they're in economic despair. The real reason why Haiti's in economic despair is because when we earned which is horrible to even say, we got to earn our independence, but when we earned our independence after being colonized by the French, France decided to hold us still by the chokehold and say, okay, well, though you're no longer enslaved, you're going to still owe us money. And they have put Haiti in debt for many years since 1804 when we earned our independence. So you have the debt collectors of France still holding Haiti by its chokehold because they're mad as well as neighboring countries as well, upset that, wow, this small country populated by blacks have had the gall and the audacity to earn independence from slavery as the first black republic. Like, how dare you? So, there's backlash for that. And instead of saying that truth at the pulpit, Pastor Keon decided to spread this false propaganda yet again that Pat Robertson, a white man, a white pastor, have been spreading for years upon years upon years. So him continuing that is just it's a dig. It's a dig. And to be a black American doing that, saying it to your black predominantly congregation, it just continues this ignorance that so many Haitians, myself included, has been making purposeful effort to take away from, like, to help you to realize this is not the truth. So many times I find people say, "Oh, you want to go to Haiti? You want to," like, it's like, I do want to go to Haiti, but yet because of the propaganda, like, there's this like fear, and I've been to the DR a couple of times, twice, and so many times I'm thinking like, damn, I wish I could just go to Haiti. Why can't I just go to Haiti? But, one day I'll be back. I've only went when I was a young girl, and I would love to go again at my adult age. But yeah, I just hate that. Like, stop spreading false propaganda because it sounds like the thing to do. No, just do your history and know exactly what you're saying before you say it. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Please make sure you are leaving me a review. That really helps the podcast. Make sure you're leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. That'll be amazing if you do so. So 5 stars and leave a review saying why you love this podcast. Check us out also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like I said, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. And I will go ahead and check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.